Good afternoon, everybody. How is everybody doing? Okay, so first I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Carlos Estrada. I am a current board member for South Union. My duties this year have been to help with the internet efforts and part of branding of the company, in this case an organization. So our recent efforts have produced this brand new logo, which it shows a little bit about what we do, a little better what we do. As you know, we want to see this success in the community of South Union. So we feel that our logo is best representing that this time around. And of course, we do a lot of STEM work. And so, as you can see, it's depicted with a little atom on the top. And so yeah, I hope everybody likes it. And it's also on the website posted already. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So now I'd like to acknowledge everybody that's here. First, I'd like to acknowledge the head table. Most of you know him already. He's the superstar of this organization. That's Ephraim Jernigan over there, our president. And that's Brad Robinson over there on the other side, the VP of the organization. So we have Batman and Robin. Next, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Georgia Provost. How are you? Mrs. Criner, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing, and Dr. Oscar Hines as well. Our representative from Technology for All on this side of the table, NLB, who's running a bit late. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Jose Grinan.
Thank you so very much. Good evening, everybody. Okay, you can do better than that. Good evening, everybody. All right. You know, this is a festive occasion. We're going to be handing out scholarships. We're also going to be recognizing instructors as well as some of the partners who help make this organization what it is. You know, science and technology, very, very important in today's world. May not have been the case 40, 50, 60 years ago, but today, technology is the main thing that drives many of our lives. It controls communication, and communication right now is instantaneous because of technology. Now, that technology came through work, through science. A lot of the science that we're utilizing in today's technology really came from what was tested up in space, on the space, what they probably didn't think they could do. Those are the things that an organization like this is doing. When I walked through and saw that computer lab, how many places in this city have computer labs like that? I can see resumes, spreadsheets, internet research. I can see so many things that can be done in that room there. And I was talking to a young lady about lasers. Lasers, yes. Those are some of the most important things they tested up in space. And that's why they have become a very big part of our lives. Everybody uses them. Doctors, dentists, lawyers use it for presentations. I mean, there's so many things that are in our daily lives, and we just don't think about them. But when you just take a step back and say, okay, yeah, this pointer, but where did it originate? Well, it originated with something that weighed about 5,000 pounds and took up the space in this room initially. But because people wanted to improve on a scientific development, they came up with other developments. Now lasers are the size of ink pens. Those things could not have been done without science and without technology. They're like two peas in a pod. They work hand in hand. And I'm so very glad that this is one of those days when you recognize an organization like this that is helping young people do those things that will help them out in the future. Okay, so I'm off my high horse about technology. But I'm really here to help the program go along, but also to introduce to you someone who is an icon, I should say, in this community. Someone whose orbit, to use local NASA technology verbiage, someone whose orbit you really want to be in. You want to know what he has, and what he has is knowledge. And he developed that from his childhood. I was talking to...
He came back to Texas Southern University in 1976, is now the Associate Dean of Science and Technology, and a Professor of Computer Sciences. He can tell you how important it is for you to know science and technology, because those two things combined have made him who he is. So please put your hands together.
Thank you very much. I don't know if it's working now. It may work. I may not need it even. Thank you very much, Mr. Grinan, for that very generous introduction. I want to thank the South Union Community Development Corporation for inviting me to speak this evening. Your president, Mr. Jernigan, and I have been working together. Does I need this thing?
No.
Okay. Have been working together over the past year or so, designing a collaboration with TSU intending to broaden participation of the wider community in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. We propose to the...
But it's very important that you join us in our broadening of participation activities.
I want you to understand the issues. And then you may be able to help us with resolution. This resolution is not necessarily going to be easy. It may happen in some political manner. But there needs to be some resolution of some of the things I'm going to talk about. The Center for Research on Complex, probably not.
That's technology for you.
The Center for Research on Complex Networks has as one of its major goals to increase the number of students coming to college intent on studying STEM subjects. We have a summer program that we have for middle school and high school students, just like we have here programs for middle school and high school students. We have to do that, but it just turns out that regardless of the amount of activity that we go on, that we do in these supplementary programs, the number of students coming into college to study STEM subjects is declining. Still going down. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. And I want to talk about science and mathematics education this evening, and my topic is how to create a good STEM student. I'm going to use myself as the model because I know what I did. I don't know what anybody else did. So I'm going to kind of give you this little tour, autobiography, if you like, in a sense. But I think it's important because what I did led to my success in higher education. Indeed, it led all the way to the PhD. So the question is, how do you do that? Okay, it's not done by accident. It's planned. It's done, and you have to do it in such a way that you don't die in the process. You survive the activity. But at any rate, let me tell you this story. As you know, my name is Oscar H. Criner. I was born in Beaumont, Texas, in the middle of the last century. My great-grandfather A.J. Criner moved to Beaumont in 1870. A.J. was an itinerant teacher. He taught at Hungerford on the west of Houston, all the way to Beaumont, Port Arthur, on the east of Houston. He in fact founded schools in those places. Lincoln High School in Port Arthur was one of those schools. It doesn't exist anymore. So he was a pioneering educator, and so were most of his descendants and family. They followed him into the profession. A similar thing happened on my mother's side. Her brother founded a school in the Central Texas area around Mahair, and he taught there for 50 years. So great Aunt Samonetta taught in HISD in the 1920s. Uncle Alvin was principal in Mahair. Uncle Harold taught in DeKalb. Uncle Holiday taught in Berkeley. Uncle Tennyson taught in Port Arthur. Cousin Emma taught in Orange, and my grandmother taught in Beaumont. My mother and father taught in HISD. I can tell you a little something about education, because every time we had Sunday dinner, the topic of discussion was education. And I learned what was expected early in life. My mother taught me in the 5th grade. I learned one thing from that experience, and that was do not get in a class where a relative is teaching if you can avoid it. I submit to you that I developed a deep understanding of education, so that by the time I finished Sweetley Senior High School, I was so sick of educators that I swore I would never be one. But now I'm professor of computer science and interim associate dean of the College of Science and Technology at Texas Southern University. And I've been at Texas Southern for 37 years. I'm a mathematician by training. I received my PhD in applied mathematics from the University of California. And I have a few comments I want to make about how you study mathematics, how you learn mathematics, and science in general. What I think is we need to reintegrate into public education the methods and techniques that I'm going to talk about tonight. And I'm glad to see you all here, because it involves family, as you saw that it involved with me. It involves family and involves businesses and industry who are interested in improving the quality of people that they get in their workforce. Reading is probably the most important part of the study of mathematics and science. So students should read about mathematics, read about science, do these experiments, but read about it. And you will develop an affinity for it if you participate in it. I'm not talking about reading textbooks. I'm talking about reading books about the subject. So if we get into that and do that, students need to read the mathematics to gain knowledge about the beauty of and the adventure in the process. There is beauty and adventure in mathematics. But they need to be able to remember what they read. Therein is the problem. The major problem that we have is that many freshmen have difficulty reading, writing, and doing simple mathematics when they come to us. They do not seem to be able to make conclusions, meaning that the reading comprehension is poor. We have an unacceptable graduation rate. Our customer, you, and in the form of the Texas Higher Education Broadening Board, thinks that our graduation rate is too low. It's around 12 to 15 or so %. You've heard that number thrown around, but it's a measure of the number of people who come to us as freshmen and who graduate 4 years later. Now, we graduated 1,000 people last on the 11th of May. But with that graduation rate, that meant only 120 of them probably came 4 years early. all those other people came at different times and came from different places and all of that. So what happens to these students, these 1,000 students that you bring in every semester, every year, and they seem to disappear? They're not there. Well, there are many reasons for that disappearance. They get discouraged and stop coming to class. They don't have a tradition of reading, of doing homework. They don't buy books. Some of them don't even buy the books. And I think the most devastating thing is they don't remember. They don't have the ability to remember what happened. They don't practice memory. They haven't been taught to remember. Memory has been removed from the educational system. That's the problem. It's a major problem. The memory is not there. So, since today's students have very little memory, I'm going to tell you about my memory training. It started sometime when I was in the 7th grade, I think, playing the saxophone. Okay? I discovered that I could deal with the Sousa March. I could practice the Sousa March, and I'm just coming to the 7th grade now. And I remembered the thing. I didn't have to use the music. I often wonder, why are we using the music? Everybody should know it by now. Okay? It's the memory that came out right there. The study of music enhances memory. My mother had me memorize the timetables at the 5th grade, but my memory training really took off in the 8th grade when old Mr. Barlow and E.O. Smith had us memorize the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. First time I ever done some significant memory, you know, when in the course of human events and all that. I don't know why, but as the years went by, I began to realize the gift that was given me in memory. In the 10th grade, my geometry teacher, Clifton L. Banks, the late Mr. Banks, would call on you in class, and if you could not recite the theorem, he would have you write it several hundred times and turn it back to it the next day. Well, I thought I was smart. You know, of course, I made a page in the front, a page in the back, and I put blank, padded it with blank paper. Turned it in, and I got the patches back with great big red marks on it saying, "Ha, fooled you, didn't I?" Later at Howard University, doing a advanced course, a 3rd-year course in advanced calculus. Advanced calculus is where they separate the mathematicians from the rest of the world. Professor Williston Hobbs was going around the room with this truth. At Howard, they had windows on one side and 3 sides for boards. So he was coming back around, almost back to start again on the first board. And he was going through this truth. Then all of a sudden, a little squeaky voice came out of the back of the room. "But Mr. Hobbs, I don't understand." Hobbs fell back against the board and looked out there and said, "You don't understand what?" Before she could reply, he bellowed, "Memorize it, understand it later," and went back to his proof. What had Hobbs done? Hobbs had separated knowing from understanding. Okay? He had separated knowing from you can know many, many things that you do not understand. Do you not? That's the point. And it may be you aren't capable of understanding it at that moment. When you see it, when you get it. But you need to know it. And that's part of the problem. We don't know this stuff that we need to understand. I remember walking around Howard's campus reciting these things. Given a function is continuous on a closed interval at a point x0, if given an epsilon, there exists a delta such that the absolute value of f of x minus f of x0 inside the absolute value is less than epsilon when x minus x0 is less than delta. I didn't know what the hell that meant. But I knew it. And as we went on through the years, it became clear, very clear. We need scholars. We need scholars in the worst way. We need PhD scholars. That's what I'm talking about. I need someone to take my place. I am the last African American in the department that I founded. That's irony for me. I got to find other African Americans who can do this and do it well. I'm looking for students. I'm looking for people who can do this. I want them to come to me. Unfortunately, I don't get them. They don't come. Very